You welcome in movie recap. A man found glasses that showed him the true face of mutant humans. Aliens are secretly controlling humans. The film begins with George, a homeless man from Colorado, traveling to Los Angeles to search for work and achieve his dream of becoming rich. He goes to the employment office to look for work, but the place is crowded and everyone there is looking for work. The official asks George about his experiences, and he tells her that he came from Colorado to look for work, but the official is not interested. And in the end, she tells him that his experience is not enough for him to work with them, and that they will tell him if there is a suitable job for him. George walks away frustrated. On the street, he sees a priest talking to a group of people and telling them that secret organizations rule the world and have controlled the leaders and corrupted the rich in order to control and exploit the poor, and that people must learn and escape control from secret organizations. George ignores the matter and decides to move on when he finds a police car ahead. He sees someone standing and watching TV as if hypnotized. The same situation is repeated with an old woman, but George does not care. He was sleeping in a homeless shelter. He continues his search for another job in the morning and goes to a construction site and works as a laborer there. After a long day, George discovers that he will not receive any money and that his salary is every week. George does not know what he will do, whether he will return to the homeless shelters again. But he sees another worker named Frank offering him food and telling him that he will provide him with a place to stay in a camp where most of the workers are. George agrees because he has no other solution and goes with him, and they talk along the way. They arrive at camp. One night, he sees a group of people watching television with great interest, and the broadcast stops. And a strange person appears on the television and says that some scientists have discovered that aliens use televisions to send signals to the human brain, influence them, prevent them from thinking, and control them. They control the economy, and poverty will increase. But the people watching the television do not believe it, and the broadcast comes back on, and George then sees a blind man standing near them and repeats the words of the strange man who appeared on the television. The next morning, George meets a cheerful neighbor named Gilbert who tells him that they are cooking their food in the church kitchen and that there is a celebration nearby and he is training for the celebration. Suddenly, the television broadcast is interrupted again, and the same man who spoke before appears and says that the rich class are not human, and they enslave the poor class, and that television broadcasts wash their minds, and then the viewers get a headache and the broadcast returns again. Gilbert goes to church and is clearly very worried. George decides to follow him. As soon as he enters the church, he discovers a secret laboratory and strange tools and sees a phrase on the wall that says, "They live and we sleep." Inside the church, he finds the man who appeared on the broadcast, and he says that they should hack the TV broadcast again so that it reaches more people. As soon as George heard what they were saying, he turned his back and prepared to run away, but he stumbled into a box and tried to leave the place quickly. But he met the blind priest and caught him, but George escaped from the church. At night, police cars arrived and attacked the camp and the church, demolishing the entire camp. They arrested the churchmen, the blind man, and the man who was appearing on television, and beat them. And George is standing there, not knowing what to do and not understanding anything. He finds a frightened little child, so he takes him with him and they go to hide in an old building. He finds people from the camp there, and no one knows why the police attacked them. The next morning, George comes out of hiding to find that the entire place has been destroyed. But what was strange was that he found that the TV was intact and still working. Here George is surprised and goes to the church, but finds that the laboratory does not exist, and the words on the wall have been erased, so he finds a secret hideout. He breaks down the secret door and finds a box, so George takes the box and runs away with it. In a faraway place, George opens the box and is surprised that it is full of glasses that they were making in the factory, so he takes a pair of glasses from it and hides the rest in the trash and walks around wearing the glasses among the people. Once George puts on the glasses, the whole world turns and sees something strange, the truth of everything. He sees street advertisements and sees the message behind each advertisement. People's appearance also changes and they turn into aliens and their appearance appears frightening. George takes off his glasses and puts them on more than once. He is shocked and unable to believe what he sees and does not understand anything. He looks at the money and finds that it is written on it, "This is your God." He finds broadcasting devices installed on all traffic lights, and these devices try to control people's minds so that they do not think. He sees that humans deal naturally with aliens, and notes that aliens are richer than ordinary people and in higher positions. George enters the supermarket and sees a letter on TV. There is a political official who is also an alien, and he sees a sign that says "Obey orders," and an alien woman bumps into him. He quarrels with her and says that she looks terrible, and that he sees her as she really and tries to tell people that this woman is an alien and that aliens are everywhere around them. But of course no one believes him, and the alien woman speaks on her own watch, saying that someone has revealed their truth, and all the aliens gather in the supermarket, and they go towards him, and George gets afraid and runs away. Then 2 alien officers appear and attack George, asking where he got these glasses. But George does not answer and threatens George to remain silent and never speak again and live like the rest of the people. But George surprises them, takes the gun from one of them, kills them, and takes the weapon from the police car. He goes to a bank and finds a large number of aliens, so he shoots them and a large number of them die. One of the aliens speaks into his watch and tells the police where George is, and then he disappears. The police arrived and George fled into the garage. There he meets a girl named Holly. George threatens her with the weapon he has and tells her that she will help him escape from the police and that she will take him to her house. Once they got home, George was very tired and apologized to Holly. He tries to explain to her everything that happened and asks her to wear glasses and see for herself, but she naturally does not believe him and refuses to wear glasses. She takes advantage of the first opportunity, hits George in the brain, throws him from the balcony, and speaks to the police. George is able to escape, but finds himself in Holly's apartment. The next day, George goes to the construction site to see Frank, and George tells him what happened to him and asks him to help him. But Franco gets angry and says he's a murderer. George says they're not human, and Frank says he doesn't want to have anything to do with him, that he doesn't want to know him again. George walks over and goes to where the rest of the glasses are hidden, but finds that the box is empty. Then he saw a garbage truck on the street, so he quickly got into it and looked for glasses. Finally, he found one and went to Frank. George tries to get him to wear glasses so he can see the real world, but Frank refuses. George hits him and makes him wear glasses with powers, and after that Frank sees the reality of humans and the world around him, and knows that his friend is right. And the two go to rent a room in a hotel, and Gilbert sees them and walks after them to the room, and tells him that there is a meeting at night, and they should come. At night the two go to meet. He sees a lot of people there. They change glasses with contact lenses to give them clearer vision and remove suspicion, because they will not be able to wear glasses at night because this is too eye-catching. Gilbert tells them that the aliens are recruiting ordinary people for their own benefit because there are people who have many ambitions and who promise people money and power in exchange for their service, and that Earth for the aliens is a source of wealth, and that they want to plunder these riches in order to develop their world, and that natural disasters and wars are the cause of them, and he shows them the hour, which the aliens use after he was able to get it from one of them, and George takes it. The man tells George that they were unable to decode the clock, and that the clock is what transports them in space and allows them to communicate with each other. And Gilbert speaks up and says that they want to destroy the main signal source through which they control people, so that all people know the truth. But suddenly Holly appears and says that she knows where the source of the signal is, gives George his freshness, and apologizes to him for what she did to him, and that she knew the truth after she wore the glasses. She works on television and knows where the broadcast source is. Suddenly there was an explosion, and the police stormed the meeting and started a fire. She attacks everyone present. Many of those present die, but George and Frank escape and shoot at the police. They go to hide, and George wants to come back to save Holly, but Frank stops him because if he leaves he won't come back. They both try to decode the clock, and a portal opens and the police appear and surround them. They enter the portal and find themselves in a space base and meet the soldiers. They go to a place where they find themselves in a large hall and see a person giving a speech praising the union between aliens and humans. He continues his speech by saying that he is very happy because the aliens have taken control of Earth. He shows them the statistics and greets everyone. The people are in the hall and a resident of the old camp comes to them. They know that he has joined the aliens, and they think that they have also joined the aliens. He is surprised that they are still wearing their old clothes, and takes them on a tour of the hall and shows them a room in which humans and aliens move. He shows them the broadcast room and explains that the satellite transmits the signal to the whole world and they control people through it. George asks him to take them to the television studio, and the man agrees, but the guards prevent them from entering. At the same time, Frank and George beat them with fire, and the man with them tries to convince them that they give in and join the aliens. Suddenly, the man who was with them disappears, and Frank and George take the aliens' weapons. George asks the staff where Holly is, but no one knows where she is. He asks where the signal is being broadcast and learns that it is on the roof of the building. George and Frank climb into the building to destroy the signal source. On their way to the roof, they met Holly. It's strange that she's still alive after the police kill everyone at the meeting, and they all go to the signal station. He meets alien soldiers, and George kills them and leaves quickly, but at this moment Holly hits Frank with fire. We know that she is a traitor and with the aliens, but George reaches the surface and finds the source of the signal before it is destroyed. Holly appears behind him and tells him to surrender, but George refuses and shoots her, destroying the signal source. But a helicopter appears and hits him with fire, and George dies. But even though George was dead, he managed to stop the broadcast. People are now able to see the aliens for who they really are, and know that aliens are everywhere among them, so people know the truth, and it's all thanks to George. And the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for new movie clips. See you in the next video.